everybody.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the GirlyPop TV podcast, episode 5, I believe, right? Yes, 5.
Yes,
Ooh,
we're on
we should
episode
high
5.
five.
High five.
Ooh, episode 5. This is your co-host, Blindfoldhero, and
Koolkayak.
ooh, the coolest of all kayaks.
Tea.
So,
Yeah,
how was
welcome
your
in.
week? What'd you do?
I worked and I had rehearsals this week
Ooh, fun.
because my performance is next week.
Oh,
So it's just a lot of
wait.
rehearsing.
Have you told me about this before? What
I don't know if I have.
What performance, if you don't mind sharing to the audience as well?
It's a live show.
Oh.
Did I tell you about a live show that I'm in?
The Train?
The Train?
Murder Mystery?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's that one.
Okay. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, cool. We can cut that out if you don't want it to be in it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So exciting.
Yeah, and that's kind of been my week is like adjusting to my new schedule. I started my other part-time job, so I'm doing 2 part-time jobs now and rehearsal. So things are happening.
Wow. You're so busy.
I know. It has changed dramatically since being unemployed.
I mean, that'd be a good thing though, because like sometimes it's good to be busy, you know, like so I
Yeah.
personally like to be busy. I don't like to be idle and sit around doing nothing.
Same. Me too. How about you? How was your week?
Pretty boring. I just said
Yeah.
I didn't like to sit around and do nothing, but that's kind of what I did this past week. I just worked and edited some reels, and that's about it. Oh, one exciting thing that happened this past week was that I actually got a call from Meta about my content creation, and that was super
Oh,
cool.
yes.
They actually talked to me about content growth strategies and basically like recognized me as a content creator with potential, and I was like, wow, that is so cool. And yeah, that was like the only exciting thing that happened this week. Other than that, not much.
Iconic. Very iconic. Oh, well, I guess something did happen this week, but I think I'm going to leave it for the episode
Okay.
to talk about.
Cool, sounds good.
Yes.
All right, so this is our mental health episode. So it's gonna be a pretty serious episode. We do have a bit of, trigger warnings in terms of like guilt and depression, anxiety, just mental health. So just a bit of a content warning there. But let's start off with, our own personal mental health experiences.
Yes. Did you want to go first?
Not really.
Okay. I can go
You
first.
can go first.
Okay. Okay, my personal mental health journey, where do I start?
I know, that's why I
This
didn't
is-
want to go first, because I was like, wow, there's a lot to unpack here. So
Yeah.
that's why I was like, you can go first, so I'll see how you organize your thoughts. But
I
if you...
can start simply.
Okay.
Notoriously throughout my life, I have dealt with anxiety and I believe bouts of depression, but not like severely or not to the point where it has inhibited me the same as anxiety has. I think I do have on some level social anxiety, but most of the time I think it's just generalized anxiety that bleeds into all aspects of my
Yeah.
life.
I feel the same way too. I guess you want to go about this episode, do you want to like kind of like talk about one topic first and then like go to like, we can talk about anxiety first and then depression and then guilt and then insecurities, so we can kind of like bounce off of that, I guess.
Yeah, I guess we could do that. I should have sent you my stuff.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I mean, you can just, I think it'll be good if like you can talk about like one topic or one experience or issue first, and then I can like bounce off of that, because I probably experience the same as you, because what you just said too, like I'm like, oh yeah, I also have anxiety, so
Okay, yeah, I guess we can just do it by that
yeah.
kind of category.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So yeah, I think the biggest thing that I do experience is anxiety, and to this day it still is a big aspect to my life. And I feel like there have been times where it hasn't been as bothersome, and I feel like it has become increasingly bothersome, at least within especially since I've quit my job,
Mm-hmm.
where anxiety has been very pertinent and there and apparent. Um, but yeah, and then the ways that I've been dealing with that, honestly, I feel like I'm gonna be so real, but I feel like on some level I've been kind of numb to it or even avoiding it because I think I just don't want to address it fully, but right now I'm in the process of like opening myself back up to like, okay, we need to figure something out because this is getting a lot. It's getting a lot. So, my journey though over time, there have been moments where I have been able to like journal about it. Going for a walk really does help. I have found in times where I felt extreme anxiety, once I left the space that I was in, took a walk, no matter the time, like no matter the time, honestly, of course, do that safely. But there was one scenario back in December where I felt like crippling anxiety. Like it was in my chest, I felt it in my
Mm-hmm.
body. And I just was like, I need to go take a walk. So thankfully I was with my mom at the time and she was like, I'll go on a walk with you. And we just like walked to like the local grocery store. And I really needed just a change of pace instead of feeling very sometimes I can get really bad cabin fever when I'm in that mental space.
Mm-hmm.
So getting outside and then breathing in the air, especially cold air, when I'm in a colder environment, that calms me down too. Or drinking water. I found, taking gulps of water and doing that slowly has really helped me during times of anxiety. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think I have found I also need to remind myself that I am not my thoughts. Those the thoughts that I have don't identify with me,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's kind of something I have to learn how to catch on quickly instead
Mm-hmm.
of after the crippling feelings that I get. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a process of learning and relearning, honestly, because I thought I was learning this already and was getting more seasoned veteran at it. But things have definitely evolved and changed in my life where I'm finding I'd have to relearn it again in different circumstances. So,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that's just how you grow up. I don't know, but that's been my experience lately with anxiety.
Hmm. Yeah, I totally feel that. I think I definitely also have generalized anxiety as well. I definitely have social anxiety, especially around people I don't know or people I'm actually not really around people I don't know. It's people that I kind of know, that like acquaintances, which is really weird. I don't know if anyone else feels the same way, but for me, like if I meet someone new, I'm like, wow, this person doesn't know anything about me. I'm a blank slate. So I can just
Mhm.
do and be whoever I want. No anxiety around
Mhm.
them. But if someone like knows me slightly, then they already have a pre-made impression of me. So then I'm like, oh, I have to live up to that impression they already have of me. Whether
Yeah.
it's like a bad impression or a good impression. It's really weird. I feel like I have to
Hmm.
fit into that box that they've created for me in their head. For example, if someone views me like as a really shy person, when I'm around them, I'm like, oh, I have to like not talk as much around them so I can like fit the mold of what they think of me. If someone thinks I'm a
Oh,
really
whoa.
like a talkative, excitable person. For example, like on stream, I'm like, oh, I have to be that person. I can't like let them down, which is weird. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I get a lot of social anxiety with people I'm like I'm kind of close with. But I
Mhm.
don't get social anxiety with people that I'm really close with or with people I don't know at all. So it's like in between I get social anxiety with, which is really
Oh,
weird. I don't know if
interesting.
anyone else is like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, and yeah, going back to what you said about how you have to realize that your thoughts are not who you are. That's definitely
Yeah.
something that I've had to learn in therapy is that it's okay to have thoughts. Like you shouldn't beat yourself up for having thoughts, which
Mhm.
I have done. But it's important to realize that it's totally valid. It's okay to have those thoughts, but it's important to recognize those thoughts and just let them pass. It's your
Yeah.
behavior and how you act upon those thoughts that's important and not the thought itself. So actually, I'm gonna share something that I learned in therapy real quick.
Mhm.
That's relevant to this. So there are 15 cognitive distortions that your mind uh, encounters, that your mind there are 15 sorry. There are 15 cognitive distortions that you can blame for like any kind of like negative thinking or anxieties, and they're called like
Mhm.
automatic thoughts. And they're always like really strong, overwhelming emotions that can kind of cause like anxiety or depression or anger, or basically just like negative, overwhelming feelings.
Yeah.
And so, but you have to look at it as a cognitive or a negative distortion. And there's 15 of them. So some of them include like overgeneralization, jumping to conclusions, like
Oh, yeah.
catastrophizing, like,
Mhm.
oh, if I don't accomplish this specific short term goal, my life will be ruined. Like, that's catastrophizing. Or like, there's like fallacies. There's like, I could spend a whole episode talking about them, but I won't go too in depth
Yeah.
into them. But basically, when you realize you have a cognitive distortion, so there's three R's. First, you have to like record it, so write it down, like realize that you're having a cognitive distortion. Second is rationalize it, find the evidence towards that cognitive distortion. See, like, why am I
Mm.
feeling that way? Like, do I have any evidence to feel this way? And what is the evidence where I shouldn't be feeling this way? And then replace that, negative thought with something that's more positive and rooted in evidence. So that's
Mhm.
something I kind of had to learn in therapy, and it's been really helpful. I could talk about
Wow.
that a lot, so I won't go too in depth in it for this episode, but we
Yeah.
could talk about it more for a future episode.
No, that is actually I remember learning about that when I first
Mm-hmm.
started therapy, and
Yeah.
then in a psychology class, honestly. I
Oh,
remember
really?
you were saying it, I was like, "Oh, wait, I remember that
Oh,
terminology."
wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But I think I don't know, I have to revisit it. I feel like maybe because things have been changing in my life
Mm-hmm.
and like I don't know if it's like a transformation thing where sometimes I feel like all the things that I learned, like I regress a bit,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe that regression turns into further growth. That's kind of my thought process of like I sometimes I'm like, I've learned this before. Why am I regressing? Or why does it feel like I am feeling more feelings of anxiety?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I do chalk it up that I am on a birth control
Mm-hmm.
that could be a part of why I'm feeling more intensely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know though. I don't know yet. I'm
Yeah.
still figuring that out.
That makes sense. I definitely
Yeah.
heard birth control like changes like your hormones. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I've never been on it, so I've always been interested.
Yeah, I mean I do it because my menstrual cycle is just chaotic.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm testing out to see if this works for me, but I know that there is higher estrogen
Mm-hmm.
for this particular birth control.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not quite sure. I know that when I've been on an estrogen kind of birth control,
Mm-hmm.
my moodiness goes up. Because
Mm.
there
Interesting.
have been times when I was on another birth control that was like more estrogen, like more ingesting
Mm-hmm.
estrogen, that I had like bouts of anger or just crying episodes. So, I mean,
Oh,
it could be
interesting.
a result of that because when I remember when I mentioned when I felt in extreme anxiety, I had to go outside, and I
Mm-hmm.
literally just started birth control that
Oh,
month. So, and I
yeah.
haven't felt anxiety like that where it really shows up in my body. I felt it in my chest. And like I try to tell myself in those moments like, it's allowed to be here. It's okay because it'll pass through. It always passes through. These emotions, they don't stay, they eventually flow. Um yeah, but I think I had to move my body in order for that to really set in.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it definitely could be because of the birth control. I know it, tickles all the hormones a bit. But what you said
Yeah.
about going outside, I think that's, such a good way to deal with anxiety, because I feel like sometimes when
Yeah.
anxiety can get so caught up in your head, just like overthink, just in a spiral, and you're just in your thoughts all the time. But, going to a new environment can really help you snap out of that. For me
Oh
personally,
yeah.
that really helps
I
me.
think I think also I have found temperature changes, like
Mm.
going in a sauna has surprisingly helped me out a
Oh,
lot.
wow.
or I think it's called cryotherapy,
Oh, you've
where
done that? Like with the ice?
I've been in the chair. I've been on
Oh,
the ice
wow. Wait,
chair.
that's so cool. How was that?
It I've only done it once,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like there's like a part of me that has to like get through the resistance too, which I was trying. Like it's like a mental resilience. Like being in that ice cold is like there's a certain level of pain tied to it because it's like when you dip your hand in
Oh,
ice water,
yeah.
it's painful. Not to
Mm-hmm.
that extent of pain, but like there's a level of like this is uncomfortable, but it also feels good and it gets you out of your head because the
Yeah.
only thing you can really focus on is it's cold.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
So
so
it takes me
interesting.
out of like any mental space like that. Even I've heard dipping your face in ice water
Mm-hmm.
is also another like way. Temperatures for some reason help me like snap out of it. I'm
No,
like,
no,
"Oh."
yeah, it works for sure. Because I've
Mhm.
heard like when you're in that like kind of like you're ruminating, you're in those like thoughts,
Mhm.
unable to like break out of your head. It's important to. I heard a really good tip is name three things you see, touch three things, smell,
Yeah.
like use your five senses.
Mhm.
So the temperature thing, like really shocks your senses, especially with like touch. So that's
Mhm.
definitely a surefire way of getting you like out of that mindset. I've also heard
Mhm.
another way of, you know, getting out of the rumination, the anxiety, the mental spiral is actually playing what was it? Uh like action games. I think it was like
Wait,
roll
what?
hold on. Um let me look up what is it? It's what is it called? A roll, not an RPG. Uh
The MMO part
no 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 no
RPG?
no no. Like an like an action based game. I don't know. Uh,
Action adventure based game?
no, it's just like okay, whatever. I can look up later. But basically just playing like
Okay.
a very intense like strategy action game, for example, Tetris,
Okay.
where it's like
Oh.
you have to use your mind to think and it's very
Mhm.
fast. And you're thinking about where to put your piece, what the next piece is, how to
Yeah.
get rid of the lines. So it goes so fast that your mind can't think about anything else but the game. And they did a study with
Mm.
trauma survivors where people who people who experienced a very severe traumatic event, if they played Tetris immediately afterwards, then they were less likely to develop PTSD versus people who experienced a traumatic event and didn't play Tetris. Yeah, so
Whoa.
it's really interesting. It's because like when you're playing Tetris or any game similar to Tetris, like a very like action like strategy puzzle game, like your
Yeah.
mind is so focused in that game, it basically is unable to cement the traumatic memories. Like it doesn't allow the traumatic memories to form like a core memory in your brain because your brain is so
Interesting.
focused in playing a game such as Tetris. So yeah, that was a study that was found. You can probably look up more details about the study.
That's so interesting. It makes me wish it makes me wish I did that in the past.
I know. Once I found out about that, I was like, okay, I'm immediately downloading
Yeah.
Tetris.
Yeah. That's funny. And that it makes sense. Like you're kind of stopping all the connections happening, or I guess it's the way you look at it, but
Yeah. Yeah, like it
that's
doesn't
really
have to be
interesting.
Tetris, and just any like fast-paced video game. Yeah, like I just pulled up an
Yeah.
article. Like it says, games like Tetris increases hippocampal volume in patients with combat-related post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's been proposed as a preventive intervention to reduce the formation of intrusive memories due to a traumatic event. So yeah, play
Wow.
Tetris, guys.
Interesting. Yeah. Good to know. A fast-paced puzzle-like
Yeah.
game that gets you to interrupt I guess not the emotions, but the
Like,
trauma to
yeah,
really set
yeah, it
in.
basically like interrupts the formation of those post-traumatic thoughts.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's very
Okay, I'm gonna
interesting.
write that down. I'm gonna download Tetris right after this.
um, yeah, so that's very interesting. Have you dealt with like depression before?
Um, I feel like I have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know I've been to the doctors before and they diagnosed me with like gen depression derived from generalized anxiety.
Oh,
So
wait, did you have to go to a psychiatrist for that?
I went to a primary doctor for
Oh,
that
really?
because I
Oh,
was, yeah, I
wow.
was like telling them like I don't, because I was taking medication
Mm-hmm.
and I was concerned that the medication was causing like mental issues.
Mm.
And so that's when I was like, they had me like do some testing regarding that. And then that's when the diagnosis was
Wow, that's
there.
interesting. Okay, wait, I think psychiatrist is to prescribe medications,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
for diagnosis, right?
Well, they're still
Oh,
doctors,
okay.
so I would assume that they can prescribe and
Mm-hmm. Okay,
diagnose you.
interesting. Because I've always wanted to get diagnosed for like mental health issues, but I've just never like known how to do that. I guess I could have
Yeah.
talked to like my primary care doctor about it, but I don't think I have. So, because I'm like I've
I don't
definitely had depression before. Like I've taken tests and it was like, oh yeah, you have depression. Like I know I have depression or have had depression before. So
yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
curious about being diagnosed and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really explored depression with myself, honestly. And
Mm.
I feel like lately I have been seeing it in myself more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I've lived with family members that have experienced depression. So maybe there's also a resistance of like, I don't want to end up like that.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. So you have more experience of anxiety versus depression in comparison.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's very interesting because I'm actually the opposite. I have more experience with depression. Like I know for a fact I have had depression in the past and may
Yeah.
still be experiencing it now. But anxiety, I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know if like, I mean, I think I have anxiety, but I'm not sure if it's just like general anxiety that everyone feels or if it's like specifically, an anxiety disorder, if that makes sense.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like every like if you're like going up on a stage before a performance, like everyone gets anxiety about that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if my anxiety is like general anxiety or like specifically an anxiety disorder. So I don't know. Um,
I don't know my case either.
yeah, but I think
Um,
in my case, like people who are like, oh, like I'm depressed, but no, like I actually am pretty sure I have had actual depression before in the past.
yeah.
Wait, do you want to ban that? Ban that person? I don't
Oh,
know
sorry.
what
Just saw this.
that.
There you go. Got it.
Okay, nice. I was like, what is that? Um, yeah, I've definitely had severe cases of depression before in the past. I've like taken tests and I was like, yeah, you're severely depressed. I'm like, okay, cool. I thought I already knew that.
Oh, wow.
I
Yeah.
think the first time was when I came out to my mom and she was not approving of that. And I
Yeah.
was very depressed. Um, I mean, I don't really want to label them like first, second, third time because I feel like maybe I've had depression before in the past and just can't,
Mhm.
remember it or recount it right now. But another
Yeah.
time I remember when I had like really severe depression was when I graduated college and I was unemployed
Mhm.
and I went back home to live with my mom and that was just a period where I was very depressed. Like I felt like my heart was heavy, like every day was so
Mhm.
sad. Oh, actually that was a factor from when something happened to me in my junior year of college. And in that year, I was very depressed. Like, all my friends knew it. Like, they could tell. Like, they said, like, my personality, like, kind of changed, basically. Like, every
Yeah.
day, I didn't want to get out of bed. I would get out of bed at, like, 2 p.m. Like, there are some
Whoa.
days when I remember even when I moved back home in my parents' house, I remember like I would wake up and I have no motivation to get out of bed. Like, I would only get out of bed when my stomach was so hungry. I felt my stomach like clawing at itself, and then I would get out of bed. And then like my heart, it would feel physically heavy. Like it literally felt like there was like a, you know, like an iron block pull, like, or like a bowling ball or something really heavy pulling down my heart. Like, I don't know, it's really weird because when people say like, oh, like you have a heavy heart, but like your heart, like you can actually get like heartache, like from your brain. Like it's like a mental thing and you can feel it physically, which is wild. And like sometimes during when that period when I was really depressed, like it was really hard for me to do anything. Like I remember like I would have like an interview because when I was searching for jobs, but like I could not focus at all in that interview, which is so weird because in the past, like I've always been really good at like I could always focus and concentrate when I needed to. But when I was in that period, like it was so hard for me to focus. Like I don't know how to describe it exactly, but I just could not focus or concentrate on anything. It wasn't like my mind was like going in different places. Like it was just like you give me like a assignment, for example, and I like would try to do it, but and I could do it, but I couldn't put my all into it, if that makes sense. Like I don't know how to describe it. It's really strange. Like my focus and concentration was just not there. It's kind of like, you know how like your eyes glaze over and like you go crisscross. It was like that, but for my brain. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know if
no,
that makes
sense.
It does. Yeah, that's what it was like for me. And then I remember my friends, like they all noticed it. They were like, "Are you okay?" you know.
Yeah.
And then it only got worse when I moved back home with my parents, because like everyone, like all my friends had jobs or were going to grad school, and this kind of ties into something else I'll talk about later, which is how when I was growing up, I tied my entire worth to academics. Like I was a straight A student. I never got a single B.
Wow.
I was like I was salutatorian of my high school. Straight A's all the way in college. So my self-worth was very heavily tied to my academics. And when I was unemployed for like almost an entire year. I think it was like 9 months. And then just watching all my other friends, you know, doing things with their lives. And I was like, I studied so hard in school. I worked so hard in school. Like, what was it all for? So I kind of had like a mental crisis at that point. And but I can talk about that more later. But going back to depression, like, it's so wild how mental health issues can actually cause a physical, you know, reaction in your body. Because people are like, you know, mental health issues, like, it's all in the brain, but it's not. It actually affects you physically. I think during that period of time, I was like 95 pounds. Like, I was very skinny. And that lasted, like, junior year of college until, like, I don't know when it ended. Well, I got a job, but then my job required me to move out of state, to a place where I didn't know anybody. Sorry, I'm just like sharing my life story here. Where I didn't know anybody, and I think that made me even more depressed too, because I was living alone for the first time ever in a city where I had no friends, and everyone around me was Caucasian, so I couldn't relate to any of them either. And they were all like, I don't know what other word to say it, but like describe it, but they're all like rednecks, I guess. Yeah, so like just people like I didn't vibe with, and I wasn't making that much money either. So I think I got even more depressed. Yeah, I'm trying to think of when I left this depressive period, but I'm like, I can't think of a specific like point when I became not depressed. I think it was very gradual, if that makes sense. It's not like, boom, suddenly I'm all better. Like it was like very very gradual. So I can't think of a specific point where I like felt not depressed anymore. But I did eventually feel not depressed anymore. And I remember during this time, you know, I should have gone to therapy this time. I did not. But I should have. But during this time, I kept like a digital diary where
Oh.
every day I would color code the day based on, you know, how I felt. And I listed it from like 1 to 10 and like different colors. And like blue was when I was like really sad. And like, you know, orange was like a normal day. You know, red was happy. I remember on that diary, I was like that entire year, I think, in like 2019, 2020, it was like all blue. Like almost every day was blue. It was so bad.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really bad. 2020 was not my year, and also like COVID, and then yeah, it was not my year. But yeah, but I eventually like got out of that depressive phase, but then I was depressed again last year when you know, someone passed away that was close to me, and then I was very depressed for like 6 months. I think I'm okay now. But I don't want to drag this out too long. But basically, I have a lot of experience with depression and less so with anxiety, which is interesting because we're the opposite.
Yeah. I think, like, to be honest, everything you explained about depression feels like some things I'm experiencing now. And so lately I've been having like thoughts like, am I depressed? What is happening? But it could be because of as a result of all the changes that are going on right now,
Yeah.
and potentially what I am ingesting. But funny you mentioned that, because this week I literally broke up with my therapist.
What? Wait, can I ask
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. I like how it happened this week, because I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to talk about this during the podcast. Yeah, I've been contemplating doing it for a while, and it was, you know, this therapist has been my therapist for like 4 years,
Oh, wow,
almost
that's so
5,
long.
a long time. Yeah. And
Wow.
we were definitely like on and off. Like it wasn't like straight 4 or 5 years, but there were times where I wasn't in therapy for a while and then I would come back. But I don't know. I think I was realizing like this method isn't working for me. I want to find someone who will teach me a little bit more, because I feel like I wanted to get more answers about potentially ADHD, if I should look into diagnosis within that. So I'm searching for a therapist that specializes with ADHD, just so I can get a better idea. I'm like, should I invest in a psychologist moving forward?
Oh, so cool.
Going
Yeah,
that
nice.
direction. Yeah,
How
because
did you
I don't want to just go straight away with
Yeah,
that.
that makes sense. How did you do that breakup, I guess? Because you know what? It's funny you mentioned that because I've been thinking of the same thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, like, I really liked my therapist, but there were some things that were said in it that also made me kind of like, I feel like this isn't as aligned as it used to be. Like maybe we worked out when I was younger, but there are things that she, you know, therapists are, they're still people. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they're just a couple of guys who just decided to do this job. Just like I'm just a guy that decided to get therapy.
Yeah.
So that was kind of also a realization of like, well, they are an older person. They are, they have a viewpoint of life that maybe isn't the same as I do. Like the life that I'm doing right now is a bit unconventional to like boomers. So like talking about it, I need someone who understands that and can help me through that journey too, rather than kind of like, yeah, you should move on to something else kind of thing. At least that was my mindset. But also like the whole, maybe I have ADHD and maybe
Yeah.
that I can use a different route of treatment. So the way that I went about breaking up with my therapist was I kind of just opened the door for conversation and was like, I am thinking that this is going to be our last session because I'm
Mm.
going to explore other therapists and potentially see if other perspectives can help me grow more.
Okay.
That's basically what I said. And when I said that, she was super like, "Yeah, you should do that. Like that is actually a really good step for you. I think you can find out a different perspective that would better aid for you.
Oh,
But you
nice.
know that this door is always open,
Mm-hmm.
and if you choose to come back, you can always email me and da da da." And I was like, I would still like to do this whole session as like
Mm-hmm.
a kind of like, let's
Yeah.
review how these last few years went, and I'll take it with me and move on to the next person.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole session we spent reviewing, like I asked her like, what do you think I could improve on, and what do you think I've grown the most with? So she gave me a lot of things to really think about, and she was like, take this with you to your next therapist, and um you know, I may never see you again, but I really do hope for the best, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Wow. That is awesome.
it
Cause
was really healthy.
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, as it should be, you know. Because
Yeah,
I've actually been thinking about doing the same. I'm kind of like scared because I'm like, oh, what if she takes it badly? She's like, you're
I was
leaving
scared
me for
too.
another therapist, you know? It's like a breakup, right? So I don't
Yeah.
want her to feel like bad. I'm like, you know,
It's their job. And
yeah.
I think that's what I was reading, because I was also scared. And I've been scared for a long time about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's their job to kind of like, okay, yeah, this is for you decide that. You hire me to help you. You got to hire
Mm-hmm.
someone else now. And so you would hope that a good therapist would say, like,
Yeah.
be a gentle and like,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, I support your journey.
Yeah. That makes sense. I love that for you.
Yeah. Thanks. So the next therapist I'm looking at specializes in creativity and
Oh,
ADHD. So
nice.
I was like, this might be a better fit for
Mm-hmm.
me. So I'm officially starting next week with my new
Oh,
therapist.
ooh,
Yeah.
yay!
I
Congrats.
know.
That's
Very
so
exciting.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully that will give me a lot more perspective and potentially clarity on what's happening with me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I love that for
Yeah.
you. Congrats. Because I feel like it's always good to get
Thanks.
more perspective from different people because everyone will have a different, viewpoint in life, like you said.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that's like something I've had to kind of come to grips with this
Mm-hmm.
therapist. And I already know I have a hard time letting go of things. So letting
Yeah.
go of this therapist was like a process for a while, actually.
Wow.
And yeah, I finally got to a point where I was like, yeah, I need to let this one go.
Well, that was
And
really brave of you to finally make that decision
thanks.
because it's always really scary to kind of like, I guess, quote unquote, break up, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I know. Very interesting
But
how
yeah,
that
congrats.
how that
That's a
happened.
big step.
Thank
That's a
you.
really big
Thank
step. You're
you.
like inspiring me right now.
Yes, definitely do it. I mean, it's for you at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day. So,
Yeah, because I feel like for me personally, in my experience, my therapist has taught me a lot, and she's great, but I'm like, I feel like now when I tell her about my problems, she just redirects me to the same lessons that she's already previously
yeah.
taught me, and she's not like teaching me anything new, any new techniques or
Yeah.
anything. So I'm like, I feel like I'm not learning much from this, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome though. Yeah, let me know how
that's
it
how
goes.
I felt too. I will let you know. Hee hee.
Yeah.
Um, but going back to when you
Mm-hmm.
talked about basing your worth on academics,
Mm-hmm.
I think on some level that's the same. I've had the same experience, not
Mm.
necessarily academics, but in productivity.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been just busy in general and have
Yes.
always had something going on, doing something, whether that's a class, a hobby, or I'm always just doing something. So, because these last few months I have been just chilling, and although there are things that are happening, I've had a lot more time sitting down with myself. And I was realizing how much I have a hard time doing nothing. Like I have to really
Mm.
convince myself it's okay to just sit and do nothing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you actually need it. This would actually help you. But that has been something I've been like having conflicts internally with is um you're not your worth as a human isn't a result of how productive you are, and that's what capitalism teaches all of us, is
Yeah.
that whatever we contribute in this world is the only thing that's of value. But like, we are brought on this earth without permission. Like, we're just brought here. And like, we're taught that at such a young age, and now I feel like I'm like going through both these thoughts of my productivity is my highest worth when that's not the case. Like,
Mm-hmm.
being human is the only thing that's of worth, just being.
Yeah.
And so logically I know that, and but I think like the well, I have to relearn what I have to unlearn what what I've been basing that with
Mm-hmm.
my worth and productivity, and then relearning what it means to just be without having that attachment. Does that make sense?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that because I've actually
Thanks.
am experiencing the same exact thing. Like I said before, I tied my entire worth for living to academics. And now I feel
Yeah.
like I tie it to my productivity.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that is something I am still trying to work through, like currently. I feel like I also tie a lot of my worth to content creation, which
Yeah.
is, I think, why I get so sad when I see that dip in my follower account, which is what I talked
Yeah.
about on the podcast last time.
Episode 4.
Yes, episode 4. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. But yeah, so like my dip in followers on my Instagram account, I'm like, wow, that means people hate me and I suck and I'm not a good person. So I'm like, which is obviously not true. But I feel
Yeah.
like nowadays I tie my worth to productivity and content creation. And like if one day I'm not productive, for example, if you remember last week's episode, I talked about like my daily schedule, my like to-do list and all that. But
Yeah.
if there's one day where I like don't complete every day on my to-do list, like if I forget to post a reel, if I forget to work on my Chinese lesson, I'm like, wow, I'm a failure, I guess. Like I wasn't
Wow.
100% productive today, so I'm a terrible human being, which is, you
Yeah.
know, catastrophizing. Um,
Yeah.
so that's something I'm currently working on. And just realizing that it's okay to not be productive. It's okay to just exist.
Yes.
It's okay. Like, you have value in your life by just existing. The fact that you're here
Exactly.
on this earth, on this world right now, means that you matter, that you're important, and you
Oh,
are an
yeah.
essential part of maybe someone else's life too. So
Yes.
it's
Yeah,
okay to not be productive and not excel at everything. And that's something, even though I'm saying this to you right now, that's something I'm still, like, I still have to actively tell myself every day. Like, I'm still trying to work through that.
Same. Me too. I think like being unemployed has definitely shown
Yeah.
me like I know I want my life to be different, and I think that's the whole thing I'm coping with, is that, these things take time and I want instant gratification.
Yeah, that, yeah.
Like, still, honestly, I know that's what I'm battling right now, is
No, me too.
wanting instant
Me too.
gratification, being very impatient, wanting things to be happening fast, when it just doesn't work that way sometimes. Things just have to take the time that it needs, and then whatever's meant to be follows suit. Um,
Same.
and yeah, I think a big portion, the way that I've been coping with that, this is not healthy, but I just shut down. This is just really common for me, and that's something I want to discuss in therapy too, is
Hmm.
my my mind just goes, it shuts down and it goes numb. And like, in order to get through that, I sometimes just like take my notes app and start speaking, because
Oh,
I
nice.
get so like trapped in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So I just try to start talking out loud, like just word vomit, whatever. What are you feeling? And then that's when the ball can get rolling, and then I'm like,
Wait,
okay, that
I
was
think
the
that is
release.
healthy though. I think that's a healthy way to deal with your emotions.
Yeah,
Um,
that part's healthy. But it
because
doesn't happen all the time is what I'm saying.
I think it's important to, this is something my therapist told me too, like once you recognize you're having a negative like thought distortion, immediately write it
Yeah.
down, like record it, and then after you have your word jumble out on paper, or read it out loud, like whatever, like once you get all of that out, then you can start to sort through it and like find the evidence in it. And if you don't find the evidence to like back up what you're saying, then you're like, yeah, it's a negative thought distortion.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's like something I'm just working through within myself, and learning about myself more so now. And so I am you know what though? I am really thankful for the things I'm going through right now, because and with the reminder that these emotions pass, and I am grateful because I am learning a lot
Mm-hmm.
about myself and my capacity, and learning to trust myself too
Mm-hmm.
is another big one, is trusting when I go through these things, like a relationship. When you go through things
Yeah.
together,
You have a
it's a
relationship
level
with
of trust.
yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a level of trust you build with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's what's happening, is I'm trusting myself. I feel like I'm doing it on my own more so
Mm-hmm.
now, especially I'm not, living with my parents anymore. I'm paying my own bills, learning how to
Yeah.
deal with all that. And thank you. Thank you. Um so I think that's an added layer of that's like maybe a little more feelings of anxiety comes up. I forgot where
Mm-hmm.
my point was going with this, but the point was going to be me.
Yeah,
I
that's
forgot.
no, but it's okay. But yeah, like I totally agree with you. And going back to like you being unemployed, like I think you're killing it, honestly. Like the
Thanks.
minute you quit your job, you're like, okay, I'm gonna like apply to this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna work on this. Like you've been like killing it, honestly.
Thank you.
Like more so than me. Like okay, I know a thing or two about unemployment. Okay, after I graduated college, I was
Yeah.
unemployed for 9 months, and then I quit that job a year later, and I was unemployed again for 8 months. So I've been unemployed
Wow.
for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been unemployed for a long time, and oh my god, job searching is the worst thing in the world. Like,
Yes.
I think I'm gonna stay at my job for forever just because I don't want to job search anymore. But like, I was so
Valid.
depressed. Like, I could not do anything. I was so depressed when I was unemployed. Um,
Yeah.
Wait, now that thinking about it, like earlier I said my depression like kind of faded out after I got my job and after I moved, but then I was like, wait, but then after I got my job and then I quit and I was unemployed again and then I moved. And then when I moved, I was unemployed for a really long time and then I moved again and after I got employed again, but that moving was terrible and I was really depressed then. So I was like, wait, have I been depressed all this time? Wow, maybe I never
I
maybe I've never broken out of that depression cycle. Because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wait, I think I've just been depressed this entire time. I don't think I
you know
ever got
what?
out of it.
I feel like that's the thing with depression, is that it's a wave. It's like the
Yeah.
waves. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like depression isn't as simple as sadness. Like
Yeah,
I don't
no.
necessarily think it's just feelings of sadness. There's just like so many layers to depression, and that there may be days where you are better, but like now, like I'm sure like in retrospect you're like, wait, like, but overall that period of
Yeah.
time I felt, yeah.
Yeah, it's because, like, I'm like, now that I'm thinking about it, since, like, 2019 or even 2018, I've been depressed. And I'm like, wait, there's definitely been periods where I feel like better. Like right now, I think would be like a more like up period. But
Mhm.
now I'm thinking about like I'm like, wow, cause like I've been like I was like very recently depressed. Like you know it, like
Yeah.
that I didn't feel better till like January, and it's like what first week of March right now. So I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
maybe I've just been depressed this entire time. Like even before that happened, Like, I was depressed from moving to where I currently live too. Like, that is
Yeah.
wow. Maybe I'm like realizing this on the podcast. I'm like, I think I've just been depressed my entire life. Okay.
Yeah, I I have been, how do I say this? I don't want to reveal too much, but the
Yeah.
I have had people in my life, in my family, who are close to me who deal with depression, whether they
Mhm.
want to admit it or not. So I have experienced and seen what that looks like, and it's not as like easily identifiable because even when I was younger, I didn't classify it as that. But
Mhm.
now in retrospect, like seeing the things that I experienced and witnessing what I experienced, I realized like, oh wait, no, depression is a wave. It's the ocean for real because it's
Mhm.
so deep and
Ebbs
it
and
goes down
flows.
into the abyss of the ocean, but on top that comes out in waves, sometimes in stillness, sometimes
Mhm.
treacherous waters, the way it happens. So yeah,
For sure.
very interesting. Depression is a very interesting feeling.
Yeah.
Or maybe lack of feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely feel too much. I definitely have a lot of experience with depression, but yeah. Well, let's move on. I know you said you wanted to talk a bit about like, um, was it grief?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I had last year I went through I guess you can say a loss in my family. And
Mm.
I never really experienced a close family loss. Um but until last year. And so, throughout that experience I was learning what grief looks like for me. I mean,
Mhm.
I have experienced other, deaths, but this was like someone that's been in my life and was very impactful in my life. And yeah, I guess I just wanted to talk about what that looked like for me because in the midst of finding out, the moment I like broke down and cried, but then there are
Mhm.
times when I feel just fine and then it comes out randomly. Like I'll
Yeah.
just feel bouts of like sadness and, wanting to cry and stuff, which I haven't really experienced at all until that
Mhm.
this happened. But, you
Yeah.
know, the way that I have been coping with grief, because it's like what a beautiful thing to also have because it really has shown how much I do love and care for. This is about my grandpa. Um but yeah, like grief is such a complex thing to experience that um it not gonna lie, it makes me wanna do art, which is healthy, that's a
Mm.
healthy sign. It makes me
Mhm.
wanna do art to express that kinda, like, love and appreciation, and, like, even
Mm.
I feel like I connect with my grandpa even to this day, which I don't even know how to explain.
Mhm.
I don't know how to explain, like, I guess in a spiritual sense, I feel like I can still connect with my grandpa.
Mhm.
Is an interesting aspect. But dealing with grief, I have, um, like, gone hiking and, like,
Mm.
journaled about the feelings that I'm experiencing and,
Mhm.
like, the beautiful memories I've had with him and what I admire about him and what I've learned from him and wanna take with me throughout my life.
Mhm.
And so reminding myself that because my grandpa was such a he was such a he was a Marine, so I don't know how to explain
Mm.
that. Very headstrong, but,
Mhm.
like, he'll be really upfront about stuff, which I have always admired. Honestly, a little hurtful with the way he said it, but I will say, like, that kind of honesty is a breath of fresh air. I don't know, but
Mhm.
I wanna embody that kind of honesty too. I think more people should just be upfront about how they feel And he was pretty upfront with how he felt. Other than there were things where I was like, "Oh, okay, like masculinity, toxic masculinity, I can see some issues behind that." But despite that, he was capable of being very upfront about things, and I really admired that about him and have wanted to take that with me moving forward. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because I feel like that's something we all go through,
Yeah.
like on some level, and it's such a beautiful emotion, but I know I can see why people are like, I don't like it either because it's not a great feeling emotion. But I think there is something really beautiful about the process of grief and what that means to you deeply. At least that's my experience.
Yeah, that's I love the way you put it. It's very poetic. Yeah, I mean, similar to you, I went through really hard grief last year, so everything you just said like really resonated with me. Like I don't know, it's just so hard because the okay, well, I haven't really talked about it, but I can just say it. But I won't like go too much in depth because I might cry. But
Yeah,
so
understandable.
so I lost my puppy last year, and oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry again. Okay. Whew. Like I know a lot of you guys know, but it was really hard for me. Like just like it was like he like basically slept next to me every night.
Yeah.
So like every day, it was like basically like someone that was with you every single day. Like someone that slept with you like every single night, like so just having that suddenly be gone like the next day, no one like in your arms, right? Like it was very hard. But okay, I don't want to talk about it too much because I think I'm gonna cry.
It's okay.
But like you, I did a lot of like art, I think. So like when that happened, I don't know if you saw, but like I like changed my Twitch like starting soon, and like my offline
I
graphic,
saw
like
that.
I put him in there, and like I was like, I don't want to like get rid of like the emote and stuff because like I want it to be like his legacy, so
Yeah.
like I stopped the emotes there. Like I mean it was hard because like it was like a constant reminder that he's not here anymore, but I'm like I don't want to like just erase him, like he was never here.
No,
like
exactly.
I want to keep his legacy here, and like as an artist myself, I'm like I can do that through art.
Yeah.
And eventually, like this is kind of one of my goals in the future. Like I want to make like an animated video like dedicated to him.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually, so that's something I want to work towards. But I don't know, like grief, and it was my first time losing anyone that was close to me. And sometimes people say like it's just a pet, but I feel like sometimes you can be way closer to pets than like family members too. So I mean like I don't want to like compare like pets and like family members for people who like might think differently, but for me personally, like he was a family member, like he was like my son. So yeah, it was just really hard, and I think that was like the depressive period that I talked about earlier, where like after it happened, like it was just weeks and weeks where like I didn't feel like myself at all. Like both me and my being popcorn, like we kind of like felt numb, like we just went through the motions essentially, and I was scared. I remember this feeling very precisely. Like I was scared of hanging out with my friends because I was like, I got to a point where I was like, I want to hang out with people because weeks have passed without us like seeing anyone. I'm like, I want to hang out with people, but I also like don't want to behave or like act a certain way. Like I feel like I'm obligated to like smile. I'm like, I don't know if I can smile right now. And I know my friends like they don't care, like they know, but I feel like for myself, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I want to smile, but I can't. So I don't know. It was just difficult. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this. But yeah, totally agree with everything you said. And in a way, it is kind of like poetic because like I remember when it happened, I literally wrote down like I literally have like an essay where I wrote down everything I could possibly like remember about him, like
Yeah.
from appearance to like little quirks he did. You know, I remember he had like a black spot on like one of his paws, and just
Mhm.
like events that happened. Like I remember one time he brought in a bee from outside, and it was really scary, and I had to like, you know, kill it and take it out. Or like I don't know, I remember like his floppy ear. Like I don't know, I basically wrote down everything, you know, about him because I didn't want to forget.
Yeah.
So just kind of like recording all of that is like sad but beautiful, I guess,
Yeah. No,
to
I
tie back to
agree.
what you're saying.
When I so when I first started streaming, for those who were there that early on, my cat, his name's Cheeto. He's my childhood cat, so
Mm-hmm.
I grew up with him. He passed away, and yeah, that time was very, very difficult. But I did the same thing as you did. I had Polaroids
Mm-hmm.
of him, and so like I made like a collage of him and then like wrote down also the same thing, quirks that I loved about him,
Mm-hmm.
memories, all around the collage, and like talking about like, how much I miss him, and then
Mm-hmm.
like gathered all the photos and videos that I have of him and putting it in a folder
Yeah,
to make
I
sure
did
I
that too.
I always have them, yeah.
Yeah, I
And
have
it's
a.
funny cuz I
Sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying,
Oh,
I also have a I have a Google Photos album for him, and it has seven
yeah.
thousand photos in it. Yeah,
Amazing.
I like
Amazing.
went through like not just all my photos I have of. I think I asked you too. Like I asked
Yeah.
all my friends if they had any photos of him so I could put it in the album, and then I went through all my messages and like looked in like, you know, attached media, and like I found every single photo that was ever taken of him. And I put that in
Yeah.
the album.
Yeah, and I feel like, it's like a way of always like keeping a
Yeah.
part of them with you.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, because Cheeto was there throughout a lot of things for me. And I know I remember, I'm gonna just say this memory real quick, but I
Yeah.
remember on his last like month or so, I was working out at home because it was like during COVID time, and I took a video and it was just him like laying down in the background
Mhm.
sleeping because he's like old, he's not feeling well. But I'm like working out and he's just there with me in the same room. And I don't know, something about that, like even if it's like a version of parallel play and he's just laying there,
Mhm.
was like so cute. Cause honestly, like my parents' new cat, I don't feel that same
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
same feeling that I had with Cheeto. But Cheeto is just such a sweetheart cat, and
Mhm.
yeah, such a good boy.
Mhm. Yeah, and honestly, it helped me a lot with my like spirituality slash
Yeah.
beliefs. We can talk about that if we do like a religion spirituality episode. But I feel like I found a new. I feel like I was what's the word like uh I found a new religion, or I don't know. I like what's the word? I was like I opened my eyes, I guess,
Yeah.
to like the spirituality within me. Because I've never used to really pray before, but ever since that happened, I've actually been praying every single night
Mhm.
to him. So I feel like I kind of opened a new eye for like my inner spirituality because of that as well.
Yeah. I get that because that's the same thing with me and with my
Mhm.
grandpa. Like
Mhm.
something about that, I felt more connected to him and able to feel him or
Mm,
hear
yeah.
him
Yeah.
sometimes. Um, and so yeah, that's been a whole another thing that we could talk about in the next that
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah. You know, I only started going to therapy because of what happened. So
Yeah.
that was kind of like a plus to that. I mean, I don't want to
Oh
let.
wow.
So, yeah. So, and now, like, I don't really talk about grief in therapy. I just talk about my other mental health experiences. But I did start going to therapy for the first time because of,
Yeah.
what happened. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I think that also kind of ties into uh also before like all that happened, because like we already knew about like his health results and stuff, so I had like a lot of like anticipatory grief, which is like really like honestly it's the worst, because like it's coming,
Yeah.
but you just have like, and you're trying to like savor it every time, every moment, every second you have of them. But I don't know,
Yep.
like anticipatory grief is just so bad. And
Yes.
I'm kind of like seeing that with like my parents as well, because I mean they're like perfectly healthy, but I know like sometimes like there are days where I'm like, oh, like I notice they're getting older, like their hair is white now. Like my parents
Mhm.
are they're like mid to late 60s. Like my mom says she gets tired more often than she did in the past, and she's like, oh, like lately I've been like forgetting where things are, and like I've been feeling like clumsy. I keep tripping over stuff. And I'm like, oh,
Wow.
like it made me really sad, because I'm like, it's another reminder that my parents are also growing older as I'm getting older. Like they're not gonna be the same age
Mhm.
forever. So I kind of have that like anticipatory grief with my parents as
Oh, I
well,
feel that. Yeah.
even though they're perfectly healthy, you know,
Yeah,
fingers
yeah.
crossed. But yeah, so, and then like also talking about going like guilt, talking about the feeling of guilt. Like sometimes I get very frustrated with my parents,
Yeah.
because they can be more on like the traditional mindset, all with good intentions, of course, but like
Yeah.
Asian parents, they're Asian parents,
Yeah.
to put it simply. Old Asian parents. So you know how that goes. So sometimes
Mhm.
when I get like frustrated with like things they say, and like I like talk back to them, or I yell at them, or like sometimes I'm like mean to them, and then I feel so guilty, because I'm like, wait, like what if like the moments I have with them are like counting down now? So
Yeah.
so I don't know. But then I'm like, okay, I also agree with everything they say, but then I'm like, no, I also want to like have boundaries with like myself and my parents. Like I don't want to just blindly follow everything they say, if so learning
Yeah.
how to have boundaries with them, but also be kind and patient and understanding towards them, is something I've been trying to learn through therapy too recently.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like with that one, it's like you have to show compassion with yourself, because
Yeah.
it's like that transition between being their child and then being an adult, like that
Yeah.
they're just an adult too. And that this is their first time being an adult, like it's your first time being an
Yeah.
adult too. And so, yeah, I think I get that too. And I feel like this last year has been the first time I have felt where like I cope better with it, because same thing, my parents are have different views on things,
Mm-hmm.
or they say things that I'm not necessarily aligned
Yeah.
with. Um, and like there have also been times where I have been showed up in a way that I reflected back and I was like, I didn't wish I didn't show up in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
um, and so at least what my therapist or my previous therapist told me
Yeah.
was the like one of the big one is like, what are you expecting from them?
Mm.
They show you who they are, and you either take that and accept that for what it is, or you live with this resistance inside you and try to change and control people or the
Mm-hmm.
circumstance, or trying to change their mind, or things along those lines. Um, and something about that clicked in me where I was like, oh my god, yeah, like the reason why I'm so bothered is because like I wouldn't do it that way. I wouldn't have said it that way. I don't believe what they're saying. Like I just it's not aligned for me, and I want to
Mm-hmm.
teach them or
Yeah.
like show
No,
them.
I totally agree. It's like because you
Yeah.
love them, so you want to change their mindset and make
Yes.
you understand, especially about like for me, it's like sexuality
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
acceptance of that. So you want them to
Mhm.
be on the same page as you, but sometimes you can't, and it's hard to
Yeah.
learn that.
Yes, I agree. And I feel like it's totally more difficult than just saying you have to accept it. Of course, like that
Yeah,
is a
for sure.
whole process in itself,
Mm-hmm.
and still is a process for me. I say that I'm better at it, but it's still something I deal with too. So I just want to put that out there. Like it's not easier. It's easier said than done. Is
Yeah, for
basically what
sure.
I'm saying.
I've learned there's something called radical acceptance, where sometimes you have
Hmm.
to realize it is what it is, and you can love your parents, and still set your boundaries and have a different mindset with them. Just because your views don't align with theirs doesn't mean you love them any less.
Yeah.
And like something I've had to accept was that like my parents had me so I could live my life, not so I could live what they want for me.
Yeah.
So that's something I've had to, process and accept, and
Mhm.
am still accepting lately.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel like there's like some level of guilt I feel, especially like I have I feel like I've been very parentified throughout my life. I
Mm-hmm.
have been like the kid that kind of parentifies my parents
Mm.
because I've it's like this whole concept of you were raised in a household that may have not been the most emotionally intelligent or
Mm-hmm.
emotionally healthy kind of household. And so you grew up in a way where you had to show up as more of an adult than the adults around you.
Mm.
And so that's kind of the way
Interesting.
that I feel like I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And it has taken me so long to just be like, that's I love you, but that is not my responsibility to teach you X, Y, and Z or to prove a point here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm gonna just take you as you are right now, but I'm gonna also have a boundary that I don't need to be. There's only so much energy I can put into this, like just knowing me, and this is something I know I'm gonna have to like alter as I get older.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's only so much energy I can put into relationships in general
Mm-hmm.
with my parents. Um like oh, okay, here. Let me just reword this. Let me
Mm-hmm.
rephrase. Rewind. They can only meet you as far as they know themselves.
Mm.
And that's
Okay.
something
Yeah.
I've had to kind of swallow that pill
Mm-hmm.
because I have been craving more emotional connection with them,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't come so easily for people who may don't even know how to emotionally connect with themselves, let alone with the people around
Mm.
them,
Yeah. That's
deeply at
true.
least.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a thing that I've been trying to accept is this is the way the relationship is. But like also, once I accepted that more, it actually created a better relationship with my parents.
Hmm.
Where now I show up accepting that and realizing they're going to say some things that I don't agree with that are offensive. And I can mention, like, hey, not cool.
Yeah.
Here's why. But I don't have to be attached to the idea of them understanding that because that's out of my control.
Yeah. That's
And
true.
I can
I
take
like that.
myself out of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I have in control of is if it really gets to that point where I need to exit out of it or I need to, you know, protect my peace, then I will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that. That's the whole thing surrounding like radical acceptance too. Um,
Yeah.
like you can, say what you need to say and like set your boundaries, but what they do after that is like you said out of your control.
Mhm.
What they do after that is not any like indication of you or anything. So I've
Yeah.
learned recently that the only thing you can control is like your actions, like not even emotions, because sometimes you can't even control your own emotions, but
Real.
if you feel an emotion you can control how you act and behave, based off despite whatever emotion you feel. So the only thing you can control is like your behavior and your actions, essentially. And anything else beyond that, like, you don't need to stress or, be anxious about, because that is kind of like outside of your bubble. Easier said than done, of
Yeah.
course, but
Yeah. 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 Like, keep in mind, for those that are listening, this is like work that happens internally.
yeah.
And at least for me personally, like, this
Yes,
is
yes.
years and years of learning and doing the same thing over again. And, like, healing, like, the whole phrase is healing is not linear. And that's so true. Like I said in the beginning of the podcast, like, sometimes I feel like I regress, but then it grows
Yeah.
and blossoms into something. So it's not a linear process, but maybe in the long run, something does happen, something clicks, and you move forward you approach things differently in a more healthier way for you.
Yeah, honestly, like, nothing is a learning process. Oh, I forgot to say this when we were talking about grief as well. Like, even that is not linear. Like,
Mm,
sometimes, like, it hits when you least expect it. It's like some days you'll be okay, totally fine, normal. Another day you'll be like sobbing and breaking down in tears, even if it's been like
yeah.
years and years. And not just grief, but also like, healing yourself. Like, sometimes you'll be okay, other times you'll be right back in square one, as if
Mhm.
you haven't done any progress at all. So, it's very up and down.
Yeah.
The trajectory is not linear at all. Even if it's like this, sometimes it's like this, like,
Yeah.
sometimes you'll
Like a
be back
scatter
at
plot.
day one. Sometimes you'll be good. You'll be like day like 2000, and you'll be like, wow, I'm done with this. I'm a normal human being again. But then you're like, next day you can be like, oh, I'm back where I started again. So
Mhm.
yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
Definitely is a whole process. And I know I mentioned like attachments earlier, and we took an attachment style
Yes.
test. Did you want to talk about
Yeah,
that?
let's do it. What is what
Okay,
is
cool.
your what is your style?
Oh my gosh. My attachment style is fearful avoidant attachment
Interesting. Wait, I
and
can actually see that.
secure.
Interesting, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, so you have two?
Like, it gave me a graph of like certain
Oh,
relationships
okay.
I'm fearful avoidant, and then in certain relationships I'm secure.
I see, I see. Okay, mine is anxiously attached.
Wait, why is mine different? Oh, interesting. Okay. Anxiously attached.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna read it real quick. So I crave relationship, intimacy, and love, and I feel like I definitely see this a lot. Like, when I read the descriptions for an anxiously attached person versus the other ones, I'm like, wow, that is definitely me. So I'm like insecure, anxious. So the traits of being anxiously attached are like clingy. I hate to admit it, but that does describe me, especially in relationships. I'm always on
Yeah.
alert for the smallest sign of rejection, which also describes me. I think that ties into my insecurities,
Mhm.
and like my abandonment issues. So not having contact kind of like glues me, makes me doubt myself or the other person's loyalty.
Mm-mm.
And I feel like it definitely develops from like the way I was raised, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's important to realize that these thoughts are like distortions that are like catastrophizing and assuming things that may not be true. So yeah, I think it also ties in with, like I said earlier, how I compare myself a lot to
Mhm.
other people. How I
Mhm.
put my worth into like content creation, academics, and just all of my insecurities. I think lead me to being this like anxiously attached person where I start to seek validation from the people around me. And if someone doesn't give me that validation immediately, then I'm like, oh, rejection. They must hate me. So
Yeah.
I always try to, you know, cling onto others, I guess, and
Mhm.
seek that validation, which leads up to me being anxiously attached. And that is something I'm currently, working through as well. Haven't figured
Yeah.
it out yet, but something I'm working on.
Mhm.
Where I'm realizing that these are negative thought distortions and realizing like, oh, if someone doesn't talk to me for a while, that doesn't mean they hate me. Maybe it just means they're busy. So
Yeah.
working through these thoughts is something I'm, currently doing. Yeah, but what about you and your
Nice.
your
Nice.
style?
Let me read what I copied and paste. So, disorganized attachment style or fearful avoidant
Mm-hmm.
is a strong desire of close connection and intimacy, but also an intense fear of getting hurt within their relationships.
Mm.
It tends to alternate between those of avoidant and anxious styles, depending on the person's mood, experiences, and circumstances. Which I was like, I mean, things that you were saying with the anxious attachment style,
Mm-hmm.
I have also experienced before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in terms of like avoidance, here, I'm just going to read what Google told
Yeah.
me. But the characteristics of someone who has a disorganized, fearful, avoidant attachment style is someone who has a fear of intimacy. They're inconsistent, unpredictable in their relationships when they alternate between seeking closeness and then withdrawing. They have emotional dysregulation, so they may experience intense anxiety, fear, and difficult managing their emotions in their relationships. They have a negative self view, so usually they have a low sense of self worth and they have difficulties trusting others. So the way that this is impacted in relationships, actually, first, let's talk about the characteristics and how that applies to me
Mm-hmm.
before I move forward. Um, Definitely fear of intimacy. I can see that within myself, like getting too close to others or
Mm-hmm.
even just fearing rejection. I um I have notoriously been a serial dater throughout my life since like high school. So I've always had a partner
Mm.
either way. But like sometimes I wonder if I had those partners to not only avoid myself and my feelings, but already would know in my head it's not going to work out, but I would
Mm.
still go for it. And it's like a version, I think it's like self-sabotage, but also like I have a fear of true intimacy with someone that I would actually like know I can form a life with
Right.
versus some version of that with my
Mm-hmm.
previous relationship. This is very complex, interesting, but that's something I have experienced, which is also why I'm not dating right now because I'm realizing, oh, I have some things I need to work on with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
no, I
great.
don't want to put anyone through that.
No, I
Be-
seriously love that for you though.
Thank you. Yeah, cuz like I don't want to treat dating as this whole experimental phase when I know I have some things I need to work on with myself and I deserve that space and time to do so. So that journey of dating, I'm not in a rush to go back to that. So yeah, and then inconsistency, I have been that person that alternates between wanting closeness and then withdrawing from closeness. This one I feel like I'm getting better at, especially in my friendships. Um, so this one I feel like if I just be vocal about, what's going on with myself, I think that makes it a lot more, actually forms more
Mm-hmm.
bonds with my friends. Um, so vulnerability has been like the biggest help when I'm just honest about what's going on, about my feelings. It creates a bond and more vulnerability in my relationships
Mm-hmm.
and the intimacy that I do crave. And so, negative self view, yes, I feel like I've been dealing with just self-worth issues throughout my life, and difficulty trusting others. I have dealt with that, but it doesn't resonate right now. Um Anyways, so the way that this has impacted my relationships, I feel like usually I've had a difficult time expressing my needs and my vulnerabilities, and therefore expressing boundaries. And that could be literally 0 to 100, where I don't say anything until it leads to 100 and it comes out of nowhere. And then it's already like total emotional
I see.
dysregulation. Yeah. But yeah, so it's definitely like a push and pull power kind of thing
Yeah.
that I have dealt with in my relationships, friendships or romantic or familial. And it's kind of why like I just don't date right now, because I don't like that. Like I want to be a healthier version. I want to be secure, and especially engaging, like if I'm in that mindset, then I get with somebody who's also in that same mindset, or that just is like, it doesn't help me become a secure person either.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, that
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah, the goal, I talked about this in therapy too, but the goal was to be secure. Like that is the ultimate goal. And I think Popcorn actually took the test too. And
Really?
you know, her attachment style is secure. And I'm like, wow, okay.
That sounds right. That sounds
Like,
so right.
Our relationship is so funny because Popcorn is like the most neurotypical person I've ever met in my entire life. And I am so neurodivergent. Like I have so many like mental health problems I'm currently working through, but Popcorn is so neurotypical. So sometimes like she doesn't get it. Like she's like, why don't you just do this? I'm like, I can't. She's like why don't you just get out of bed? And like, I can't get out of bed. I physically cannot get out of bed. And she's like, why don't you just put your legs over the bed and stand up? Like, is that hard? And I'm like, yes, it is hard. Like sometimes she doesn't get it, but obviously she tries to support me like 100%, like as much as she can. But yeah, so she's very secure and very neurotypical. But I think it works well with us too, because it also teaches me how to try to reach and become that secure attachment style, which is something I'm definitely still working on. But like you said, if I was dating someone that was, like also anxiously attached, I'm like, yeah, that would not be a good conversation.
No. And I've definitely been learning that just throughout when I was dating. Like I think I have to be paired with someone who's a bit more on the secure side.
Yeah.
And I also want to show up in a way that's a bit more secure too. So I think that's also like, I think that really does matter. And also at the same time, I don't think these attachment quizzes, I feel like there's like I don't think it's like the end all be all.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like, this is what you are. I think it's like maybe your tendencies, but we have capacities for all of these. I think there's just like more of a leniency towards one of them. But we definitely have the capabilities of becoming secure. For instance.
And it can always change. Like even like your Myers-Briggs, like your MBTI, like that can change. You know, like mine has changed. So like everything can change as long as you continuously work on yourself. You can always change.
Wait, what is your MB? Sorry,
INFP.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, what's yours?
I recently took it and I got ENFP.
Oh my gosh, Popcorn's ENFP.
Really? Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's different because we're the same. We're just introvert and extrovert.
Yeah, I literally have gotten INFP for years.
Oh,
so this is the first year.
I thought you were the same as mine too, because I remember before you used to say you're INFP as well.
Yeah, but it changed this year. I don't know.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
to take it at
it
least
can
once a
always
year.
change.
So
Yeah, I know. I like taking personality tests. It's fun for me. But I think the most important thing out of all of this is you also have to practice and learn self compassion. Just be kind
yes,
to yourself and understand that you can't have everything figured out all at once.
definitely.
And I actually have a good website you could, if you're trying to practice more and explore more self compassion for yourself. I'm gonna put it in chat,
Yes.
but it's just, and I'll put it in a link below for the YouTube video. But it's just
Mm-hmm.
self-compassion.org, and it's a really great website, and you can actually you can do a self-compassion test, and you can actually do like guided practices and
Aww.
exercises on there, where they all help you, accept yourself, come to term with, difficult emotions, and help you, love yourself essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a really good resource for
I love that.
self-compassion.
Something that I've used, this is not sponsored whatsoever, but I should hit them up for us, is the Calm app.
Oh,
I
I've
don't
heard
know
of
if this
that.
is so, yeah, I don't know if this is so like cliche, but the Calm app has a lot of 8 to 10 minute guided meditations where they help you sort out through even specific feelings. So it'll be like anxieties due to workplace or workplace meetings, or it'd be very specific towards an event that's happening to your life. Or they have like once a day they have a new thing that they have. I don't, how do I say this? Like they have like random ones that just pop up that are random. I don't know how to explain it actually. How do I word this? What do they call it? Here, I'm gonna go to the app real quick
Okay.
because I want to make sure I get it right. Um, if you want to try it, I can share a link where you can have it for 30 days free, by the way.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so it's like, oh, they have like the daily trips or daily moves where once a day they have a new one that pops up, and it will just be like maybe like a random lesson that could resonate for you. So like today they
Cool.
have hero of consciousness, hero. Or like a hardcore I love you, a thank you. So it's very like revolving around the things in your life. I don't know why, but that really does help me, because it's like, okay, I'm going to really take this time to just center with myself real quick, and some of the reminders that they say in it really like make, oh yeah, huh. Wait, yeah, I'm a bit
Yeah.
catastrophizing right now. But yeah, that's a resource that I've been using, the Calm app, for
Yeah, that's
years. I've been
awesome.
using it for years.
That's a great resource. But yeah, I think there are a lot of mental health resources out there. So it can seem overwhelming for sure, but I think
Yes.
just pick one and it can probably help you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about was another
Yes.
thing I've also been working on lately is I've been feeling like behind in life.
Me too.
And which is like, I know that everyone runs the race of life at their own pace. Like you're not competing with anyone. But this also goes back to my insecurities of comparing myself with others. And I look
Mm.
around at my peers, and some of them are in like medical school. They're going to become doctors, and some of them have like jobs with like twice the salaries that I do, even though we're all the same age. And some of them are like doing so much. Some of them have more followers on social media than me. And I'm like, what am I doing with my life? And that also stems back to me tying my worth to like academics. Because, when I was in school, I was always the top of my class. I was always used to being the best in everything, getting that straight A record. But after you're out of school, you don't have grades anymore. So I guess like the comparison for me here was that I compared myself to like jobs, I guess. Like,
Mhm.
but I was like very, in my head, I was not as good as my peers in terms of my career and, you know, what I want to
Mhm.
do in life. Um, and my peers are all the same age as me. So recently, you know, I've been feeling like time is running out. And I feel like this is, for me personally, it's more notable like after I graduated from college. I feel like time moved like so slowly in like high school and college, you know, but now it just moves like so fast. Like you blink your eyes and like the year is over and you're like another year
Yeah.
older. Like I feel like after school, like time is just moving so fast. Every day just goes by so fast. And like I go to sleep and I'm like, what did I even do today? You know, like I went to my
Mhm.
9 to 5, but like what did I do today? And like I think it's also because like once you start working, well, for me, I have a very corporate job, so it's like, you know, typical 9 to 5. Like every day is kind of like
Mhm.
the same. You do the same thing every day. It's not like school where, you know, you might have like clubs or like you have like semesters, you take different classes like, you know, every semester. Like things are always
Yeah.
changing, always different. But like now, like in the corporate like adult life, I guess, at least in my career field, like everything is just the same every day. Like there's no like semester like beginning and end. Like everything's just the same. Like every day just flows by. So lately I've been trying to like come to terms with that. You know, I don't like need to feel productive every single day, which we also talked about earlier. Um,
Yeah.
and oh, also sometimes I see myself in the mirror and I'm like, wow, I look noticeably older than I did like when I was in college. And I'm like, I feel bad about it. I feel bad about myself for getting older, even though it's something I can't control. You know, lately I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, like every like, oh my gosh, like the other day I saw a picture and I was like, I thought it was my mom at first, but then I looked closely and it was me,
Whoa.
and I was like, that's crazy. Like I'm starting to look so much like my mom, and it's honestly
Yeah.
really scary because I'm like, it's just like a physical evidence that I'm getting older,
Yeah.
and I'm not as accomplished as I would have wanted to be at my age. Um,
Mhm.
but you know, I was, you know, okay. Actually, recently I've been really into YouTube video essays. Like, if I'm like struggling with like a mental health problem, I like search it up on YouTube, and someone out there has made a YouTube video essay about it, and then I
For
watch it,
real.
and it actually really helps
Yeah.
me. That's what I've been doing recently. Um,
Nice.
I watched this YouTube video essay about getting older, and they were like, you know, it might be scary to grow older, but it's actually such a privilege to be able to get older and watch yourself grow up. Like you've seen yourself
Yep.
from when you were, you know, a kid, a teenager, an adolescent, to like an adult, maybe like an older adult, and hopefully you'll be lucky enough to see yourself as an old person, you know, with
Yeah.
wrinkles and gray hair. Like a lot of people actually don't get that opportunity and privilege to see themselves grow up. And the fact that you are able to see yourself transition through all these different phases of life is a privilege and something that you're lucky to have. And that kind of really hit me because like I've known like classmates from high school who have unfortunately passed away, and they're all like my age, you know. Like I
Yeah.
know acquaintances that have passed away, at such an early age too, like early 20s. And like in the video essay too, they're also like, you know, your life is meant to be lived from beginning to end. Like, you know,
Mhm.
it's just the natural progression of life, and like you'll, it's like opening a chapter in a new book. You know, you can't just stay in chapter one forever.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's something I'm currently also trying to accept. And
Yeah.
I know I'm saying all of this like I've already accepted, but I haven't yet. So that's something I'm currently working through. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that in this episode
Yeah,
as
and
well.
I have also had similar experiences where I've like looked myself in the mirror and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've definitely aged." And you know, like I've because I've been on camera for the last like 4 years, I can definitely see a difference. And so when I've watched what I was in 4 years ago, I look so like I look like a baby. Like every time I watch,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm a baby. I look so young." And versus today, you know, I'm almost 30, so it's gonna show. And I don't know. I think I resonated especially with the last thing that you said because I thought about that how like what a privilege it is to be able to live a life like, my grandpa passed away when he was like almost 90 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what a privilege it is to live that long in the first place when there are many people who don't, just like you said. Like, I thought exactly the same thing. I have classmates who literally passed the summer after we graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's been 10 years since. And it's kind of crazy to think how much time just moves forward. Um, but it is such a privilege to age. And also, aging is such a it's like a radical like screw the patriarchy too,
Yeah.
because beauty standards want us to feel bad about the way we look.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's just me, like I want to stick it to the man and be like, "Nah, screw y'all.
Yeah.
I'm going to show up in the way that I deserve to be as a woman," because it's just like we're taught to perform, you know?
Yes.
And it's just like screw that. Like fuck that. um and like I think I've been more angry about that, and I think that's where I'm coping, is the anger of like,
Mm-hmm.
why am I given these rules of what I should look like? And I don't want to be in that like bubble of
Yeah.
what constitutes as a beautiful woman at the age of 20, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of
Exactly.
people, yeah, a lot of people have said like 25 and younger is like your peak, and then after
Oh no,
that
I'm
is
past
like
my peak.
but who comes up with that rule? Men. Men have come up with that rule.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we there is so much beauty in aging, and I feel like because we've been taught what beauty looks like in the media and stuff, and what constitutes as when does beauty stop, when like beauty never stops. It's always in the eyes of the beholder, of
That's
course,
so true.
but it never stops. Not even like my grandma, I find her so beautiful. I found, and it's different
Mm.
beautiful, it's a different version of beautiful, but it's still beautiful. And so that's why I'm like, you're beautiful regardless. And I'm sure your mother is also beautiful too at her age. And it's the same with my mom. I see my mom and she has like gray and white hairs coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always like, just let your gray hair come out. Like let the
Mm-hmm.
age flow. Like this is
Yeah.
you. And I know she feels like still kind of like, I kind of want to diet still. And that's like, okay, yeah, do what you need to do for you. But I always support like let your natural beauty be, because it's you, it's your humanness, it's that's what's beautiful
Yes.
about it. I don't know.
It's just being
I
human.
huh
It's beautiful to just be human.
yeah um yeah, sorry, I just was like,
No, I
wait,
love
no, you
that.
are beautiful.
No, I love that. I love that so much. Like everything you just said is so inspiring. It's something I need to slowly accept myself too. That aging is something that's beautiful, especially because I feel like the way the media portrays it, it's like your life is over when you're like 30.
I
Basically, like
know.
when you're 30, you're too old to be casted for TV. You're too
No,
old to
yeah.
start new things. You're too old to do this, do that. Like both appearance and actions and personality. Like you're too old when you're 30. You
Yep.
know,
And
so
I feel like that is it always goes back to the patriarchy.
yeah,
But the
doesn't
the
everything.
patriarchy, yeah, I know. The patriarchy wants us to think that by the time we're in our 30s, it's game over. That's it. Like all
hmm
you amount to is either being a mother or a wife.
Yeah.
But other than
Yeah.
that,
Yeah,
that's it.
oh my gosh, that's so true. Because, like, we're allowed to live our lives until we're 30. And then once we turn 30, okay, time for motherhood.
Yeah, and it's like that's
time,
not all
time to
women.
become vessels for children. Because that's all we're
Yeah.
meant to be after we turn 30.
Yeah,
And also,
exactly.
mothers can be hot too. Like,
Oh, for
people do,
sure.
like, like pregnancy photo shoots.
Yeah.
And they're like so good. Also, Kayak, we should take a photo shoot together when we're like 70 years old. And
Yeah,
we can
yes.
make it like super HD because who knows when how technology will have improved by then, and
Yeah,
we make
no,
it cool.
exactly. I honestly, I want to embrace the beauty I have now, but I know I want to keep still capture that even when I am noticeably aged. And like
Yes, I love
the
that.
and aged doesn't mean in a negative context either. I'm saying it more in like a factual like you notice that time has passed for me and my body, but I'm still the same woman inside. It's just, and the eyes always remain the same. Like when you look through your eyes, they always remain the same. It's just like there may be more creases, more smile lines, but it tells a story. Just like the cracks in when you chop a tree and you can see like the lines, it shows the aging of the tree, the amount of lines there are. That's how many years the tree has existed. It's the same on your face, is like those are the lines that capture the wisdom, the length of your life. It shows more, you know? I don't know. I think that's what I think we should hold on to versus what the media captures as what beauty should be and when it ends. You should watch The Substance. Have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
It's all about that.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'll watch it. I'll take a
Yeah.
note of that.
It talks
Um,
about women and aging and feminism in a kind of, it is a little bit horror. There is a body horror in it. So I don't know if that's your gig, but the metaphorical aspect of it is very powerful.
okay. Yeah, I'll have to check it out then. That's really cool. Oh my god, everything you said was so inspiring because that was something I'm like, currently struggling with is the prospect of getting older. And I don't know, I just love everything you said. Like, you have to embrace who you are right now in this moment. It's also like, living in the present. And instead of like
True, huh?
trying to, go back to an age you can't get back, but, living in the present of your age, who you are right now, and, finding beauty and joy and happiness and love and who you are right now and what you look like right now. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
You're so inspiring.
Okay. Oh, I'm glad because I was a little afraid. Like, oh wait, I'm kind of getting on a soapbox right now.
No,
I
no,
feel
no,
very
no. It's
passionate
good.
about it
Yeah, no,
because
for sure.
I wrote an essay. This was like one of my final projects I did before I
Oh.
graduated college, and it was about Asian beauty standards. And
Oh my gosh.
this
Yeah,
was
we could do a whole another podcast about
oh
that.
yeah, definitely. But I will just briefly say that, this was the time I went to the Philippines and I was looking at advertisements on what beauty means in the Philippines and Asia in general. But, a lot of it has to do with, there's a lot of colorism involved with it and European Western beauty standards and
Yeah.
skin care and, very much giving this sets the standard, and if you're not that, then you're not considered beautiful. And I really was like, nah, I'm not about that. I
Yeah.
don't want to be about that. Because I think we're told that throughout our lives, especially as women. We are told that throughout our lives about when you're not beautiful anymore, you don't matter. And I think we hold so much more value than people actually want to say, honestly. And women are powerful, beautiful, powerful, intuitive beings. And that is just like, I don't know. I think people are actually scared of that power.
No, for real. That's why
Yeah.
society it is the way it is. Because if women were in power, the world would progress so much more.
Yeah, we would be in a different place for
Yeah, for
sure.
real, for real.
But
But yeah, I
we'll
love
definitely
that. I
expand
love
that.
that. Yes, we can talk about that more. But yeah, I love that. I love that so much. Everything you said was like 10 out of 10.
Thanks. Thank you. I know that was like kind of sidetracking off of mental health, but it definitely felt like, wait, hold on.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even in Asian culture, which you just mentioned, like, mental health is non-existent. Like, uh,
Exactly.
older Asian people, I mean, I don't mean to, like, generalize, but a lot of older Asian people do not believe in mental health. They're like, oh yeah, that's an all in the brain. Like, if you have mental health issues, that means you're just weak, you know? Like, mental health
Yeah.
therapy, those things do not exist in Asian culture.
Oh, for sure.
There's a
Like,
huge stigma against, mental health and therapy and, all of that.
yeah. I mean, I've told my mom, like, I don't know, I just feel really sad. And she'll just be like, "Don't be sad."
Yeah.
It's like that. And I'm like, "Case dismissed. We solved the case." Do do
Yeah,
do.
exactly, exactly. I think in general in society, there's still such a huge like stigma around mental health. Like, if you think about mental health and like compared like physical health, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, like you have the flu, you're sick, take 5 days off." But
Yeah.
with mental health, like, "Oh, you're sad, get over it." You know,
Yeah.
it's such a
No,
stigma and
exactly.
taboo against mental health
Definitely.
and
I
therapy.
agree
They're
with
like,
what
"You're
you're
you're
saying.
going to therapy, what problems do you have? Like, I just want to work on myself. It doesn't mean I need to be locked up in a mental institution. Like,
Yeah, it
everyone
doesn't
should go to
mean
therapy. Even if
yeah.
you're like neurotypical, you should go to therapy. Like, everyone, I wholeheartedly believe every single person can benefit from therapy.
Same. Me too. I think on some level anybody can benefit from it.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think
Absolutely.
that I think everyone should look at themselves and reflect at least a bit to figure out, maybe there's some things that you didn't recognize right away either. And having that kind of guidance can aid you and maybe prevent future things from occurring. Who knows? But
Yeah,
either
absolutely.
way, there's still some benefit that could happen with therapy.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I
Yeah.
think the whole taboo around talking and discussing mental health also leads other people to not reach out for help when they need it because of the
Exactly.
stigma that's been put on mental health and might make people feel like, "Oh, if I, ask for help, if I need help, then they'll view me as like weak or like it's
Yeah.
or maybe people think that I'm not supposed to get help. I'm
Yep.
supposed to just resolve it on my own because of the stigma around mental health. So that's
Yeah.
definitely something that needs to be changed, but I don't know how to do that because it's so heavily a part of, society.
I think thankfully our generation, or seemingly so on my end, it seems like it's a lot more accepted
Yeah, I
for younger
agree.
people to get help versus, old people very much older who have kind of been set in their ways without therapy.
Yeah.
So hopefully with generations to come, that continues to evolve and become very normalized where people do reach out for help more
Yeah.
often. And as long as we keep those resources is also the biggest one. And I'm sure accessibility is also another
Yes,
factor as
accessibility.
to and financial reasons. But yeah, hopefully nothing happens due to our current climate in the
Yeah.
United States specifically.
LOL.
Yeah, where, it reduces access for people. I
Yeah.
I I really think it's mostly having to do with access and financial reasons.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, and I think the internet is a great tool for that because before
Yeah,
the internet, like, how were you supposed to get any information if
exactly.
the people your peers like didn't talk about it? But now like the internet is so readily accessible, like even if you don't have a computer, you can go to the library, and access the internet for free. And there's just so many
Yeah.
mental health resources like online, and I think it's just important to keep sharing those resources and maybe like resources that you've personally found helpful, and just continue sharing that and just continue advocating for mental health. I think is something we can do to hopefully change that stigma in society. Like, I just want mental health to be viewed on the same level as physical health, and I know it's a long way to go from that, but hopefully with sharing resources and advocating for it, like hopefully we can help push it up some more.
For sure. And I think conversations like today really do
Yeah.
help. And I like even just shared between you and I, we have a lot of overlapping
Yeah.
experiences and feelings, which definitely makes me feel less alone, which I hope for those
Oh,
listening and for those
yes.
watching that you also feel less alone with the experiences you're going through. Because, personally, I'm not going to lie, today I was having a really rough day. I was
Aw, I'm
I
sorry to
was
hear
not having
that.
a good day mentally. And I literally cried for a little bit
Oh
before this.
no.
I know. That's why I was like, I feel like I'm experiencing anxiety and depression right now. But and I think it mostly has to do with like not feeling as alone with some things that I'm going
Yeah.
through. So these conversations I know help me, and I know if it helps me, I'm sure it helps someone out there that's listening. So that's what's important. Oh,
Yeah.
no. Oh, okay, good.
I think just having these discussions in, you know, public or private, just like talking about them in general gets rid of that
Yeah.
taboo sense. I feel like there are so many conversations out there, like not just mental health, but like sexuality, women's health. Like there are so many
Yeah.
quote unquote taboo conversations that shouldn't be taboo at all.
Real.
And it
Real.
would just help for people to discuss them more. Like not even like, yes, obviously talking about them in like a public podcast or a public space absolutely helps, but even like if you're not like a public, social media person, like even just talking about it with like friends and family, and like maybe if you
Yes.
talk to your friend about it, your friend will talk to someone else about it, and maybe it'll
Yeah.
spread. Like being open and vulnerable and having these conversations, I think, is super important. So
Totally.
if you ever need to talk to me, Kayak, hit me up. You know where to find me.
You too. You can always hit
Yes.
me up
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I think we have had a very long
Yeah.
conversation about mental
I know
health.
we're like way over time, but it's totally okay. This is a great episode. I,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. It was a very vulnerable one for me personally.
Yeah, me
So,
too.
yeah, I appreciate it though. I think it's impactful even
Yeah,
for
I want to be like as
myself.
vulnerable as I can on the internet without revealing too much doxing stuff, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. So
same.
it's a
Yeah.
tough line to balance, but I think we take it.
Yes. Yes. Okay, well, that's it for tonight's podcast. I kind of brain farted there. Let's redo that. Let's redo that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That's it for tonight's podcast. If you give us a like, a subscribe, and comment down below, maybe some mental health experiences you've had, and maybe ways that have helped you in the past dealing with those things. And until next time, and until the next episode, bye,
Bye,
cuties.
cuties. This has been your co-host
Koolkayak
and
and
Blindfold Hero. And Blindfold
bye,
Hero.
cuties.
Bye,
Oh, wait, go.
cuties.
Wait, say that again. I interrupted you.
Oh, no, no, no. And Blindfold Hero.
Bye,
Cuties.
cuties.
Bye, cuties. I can edit that. I can edit that. All
Okay.
right. Bye, cuties. All right.